Grant Cooper was injured at work in 2008 when 2.5 tons of timber fell on top of him as a result of an incorrectly loaded truck. He woke up in intensive care. That incident began 14 years of state-sanctioned abuse by government agencies. This story is without question the worst example I have ever heard of the New South Wales Workers Compensation System. As legislation and agencies changed, the abuse of Grant has not ended. Watch the story, share it with your friends, talk about it at home. We can do better than destroy people's lives.
You're recording, I'm recording.
Yep.
So as I said, I'm Senior Constable Mitchell, I'm from Toukley Police.
Yep.
You've sent a...
I'm under no obligation to assist you with any of your inquiries.
Okay, so where we're at, you've sent an email to...
I sent an email requesting assistance.
Yes. Okay. And within that email, I'm led to believe that you...
No, I did not.
You threatened to harm...
No, I did not.
No?
No, I did not.
What
I said in the email was the health minister is forcing people to take steps that they shouldn't need to. Like I've suffered a stroke.
I just want to clear it up. You're not in trouble, Greg.
No, please. I don't want to answer any of your questions. Okay. You are now trespassing. I'm asking you to leave.
No, we're not trespassing.
Yes, you are. You're on my property.
We're trying to figure out if you need to be scheduled.
No, I don't.
Mental Health Act.
No, I do not.
Are you able to show me the email?
No, I'm not. I don't want you on my premises.
Okay, well, we can't go until we clear it up. So we've got our mental health specialist that is going to come. If you don't want to talk to us, be happy to talking to her.
I sent an email requesting assistance for medical help because I have a condition called antiphospholytic syndrome.
Okay.
Which is a life-threatening condition.
Right.
I'm taking warfarin, and the medical specialists that are supposed to be treating me aren't doing so. And I do not have a treating doctor. That's it.
I spoke with Sue Murray from the Zero Suicide Foundation, who is working on a more compassionate community-based response in our health systems to people experiencing suicidality. As is shown in the previous clip of Grant's interaction with police conducting a welfare check, we must start putting in place better parameters for those checks rather than people's subjective responses to people's genuine distress. Grant's story is horrific. I'm sure you will agree someone really does need to ask him from the workers' compensation system, are you okay, Grant, and how can we help? How does this segue into welfare checks by the police? Because, my view, and having spoken to a lot of vulnerable people, it's very intimidating to have police turn up when you're probably at the most vulnerable ever.
Yes.
And feel wrong,
yes.
just by the nature of the police presence.
Yes.
What's going on in that space?
Yes. So the Zero Suicide Healthcare Framework is really a series of 7 elements which, when implemented together, have been demonstrated to reduce suicides. But there is a continuum. People experience suicidal behaviour at home, in their workplaces, in the sort of general public, and at the moment, in many instances, the only place for them to go might be an emergency department. So there is a very strong movement to develop a continuum of care whereby there are safe spaces that people can identify and go to that are generally supported by a peer worker or peer workers that don't follow the medical model, which might be more of a requirement if you are needed to be admitted to hospital. But the safe spaces are about giving people somewhere to go where they know They will be met by someone who has been through the experiences that they've been through and that can sit with them and listen with an open heart and an open mind. And very often, that is as much as a person needs to de-escalate that immediate crisis to a point where they can then be supported to go to other community-based services that may be able to assist them. So the safe havens and the new head to health centres that the federal government is opening go to the next stage where if a person does present and they are in need of psychological care, then there are healthcare workers attached to those head to health centres, as well as the peer workers who will be the first person they meet, but they are also able to speak with a healthcare professional in the head to health centres, should that be required.
So let's just talk about the mental aspect of all of this. Where is your mental health, Grant?
Oh,
Yeah.
completely and utterly destroyed. I have no faith at all in doctors. I have no belief in anything anyone tells me. I trust no one. I've turned my house into an absolute fortress. At the front of my place, I've got nothing but shutters that I close. They're closed right now. I just do not communicate with the world. I've got an assistance dog. That's my life. Conscious right the way through the actual timber falling on top of me. I actually guided a few teenage kids on how to get the load off top of me, because I knew that I had 15 minutes and the ambulance and whoever was coming is not coming, not that quickly. And I know from working with heavy weights that you've got 15 minutes to get the load off you, otherwise you're going to end up with crush injuries. You end up getting toxins into the muscles and stuff.
That's right. So it was like a slow motion thing, was it? That it was just...
Very much so, very much
yeah.
so.
So when you woke up in hospital, where did you wake up?
ICU.
Right. And how long have you been in unconscious?
Just over a week.
Right. Now, I understand, we'll talk about your health in a moment. I understand in that process, because you were a labourer, was that what would classify you as?
Yes, sort of. I was a truck driver for this guy.
Right. Okay. And when you woke up, what happened to your belongings?
I woke up in hospital.
Yeah.
In ICU. Then I was moved to a ward about a week later.
Yeah.
With a pelvic fixator on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And thinking like that I'm never going to walk again. Because I was in hospital for such a long period of time, the landlord threw all my stuff out on the side of the road because he wasn't receiving rent, and I had no income, so I had no one to help me. My family lives in New Zealand, so he just threw all my stuff out on the side of the road.
And did he know you were in hospital?
Yes, yes.
So after what period of the rent not being paid did he throw you out?
It was about 3 months into it.
Right, okay. So you kept in touch with him but didn't care, it was the rent?
I was trying to organise things through the social worker at the hospital and the person that caused this accident. And they were supposed to, he made all sorts of promises that he was going to look after me and all this sort of shit. I had no idea what was happening on the outside.
Yeah, of course.
I'm lying in a hospital bed, and it wasn't until I got out of hospital that I found all this out.
Oh my goodness. So how long were you in hospital for?
5.5 months.
And it was a spinal injury?
Correct. Correct.
And what was
pelvis.
What was the prognosis?
They said to me, "You're probably never going to walk again."
And where was your family? They were all in New Zealand.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. No family members at all.
Did you have a partner?
No, not at that time.
So you were all by yourself.
Yep. Sure was.
What a terrible thing to happen, Grant.
Well, it was just, I don't know how to describe it. It was just absolutely devastating.
So how old were you?
48, I think it was at the time.
And how old are you now?
I'm 62 next month. 61.
Happy birthday.
Sorry.
Happy birthday. So you were told that you likely wouldn't walk. You were in hospital for that period of time. Were you getting any income from anywhere?
Not at that time, no. It's I ended up applying for disability support pension, and they declined that. They said, "Oh no, you have to go on unemployment."
Why did they decline somebody who had a spinal injury?
I have no idea. I was actually lying in hospital when I applied for it.
Yeah, okay, our system. Okay, so at what point did you claim workers' compensation?
That was ages down the track. Probably started the lawsuit. I tried to find lawyers as soon as I got out of hospital, because I tried to approach Workcover over this in the first place. And they sort of come up with the story, "Oh, no, you were a subcontractor according to your the so-called boss. You're a subcontractor, so you're not entitled to workers' compensation." And no one ever spoke to me at hospital. Came into hospital from Workcover, from the accident site, police, nobody from Workcover, none of the police, nobody ever came to the hospital to speak to me. Spoke to the people that were at the scene of the accident, which were the guy that caused the accident and his sons. Not me, never. I've never been spoken to this day.
So the police were called?
Oh, most definitely.
Right, so it was deemed serious enough. I mean, a spinal injury, of course, but it was deemed serious enough that the police were called to the accident site. Is that correct?
It was the response was huge. It was helicopters called, there was fireys, there was ambulances, because I was conscious until the helicopter arrived. I saw the helicopter arrive in the field and land in the field next to me, because I was trying seriously to get veins in my hands and my arms and everything. They couldn't get the veins because I was bleeding internally. I was bleeding out, and my pelvis was smashed in 3 places. Pubic rhomboid was smashed, sacrum was smashed, L5 was broken. Femur was broken in 3 places at the femur head as well.
Let's just narrow the focus a little bit. If Workcover had said you were deemed a subcontractor, you'd been rejected for the disability support, so you had no income. What was the agenda, briefly, I know it's quite a complex story, of the employer in making sure you had nothing?
I don't know what his agenda was. He was trying to hide things from everyone. As it turned out, many years down the track, he got caught and convicted of manufacturing drugs and stuff. It came into the ward, made all sorts of promises and everything, because he didn't want to get Workcover involved. And he was making all sorts of promises, and no one ever spoke to me because I was in ICU at the first place, and the guy that caused the accident came to the hospital, and he got into ICU because he didn't at the scene of the accident. So he spoke to some social worker, and I've got that in black and white in the cupboard here.
Yeah.
And the social worker, he told the social worker a story, and the social worker went and repeated that story to some person from Workcover that did the initial investigation.
Yeah.
It came out that, well, he was helping a friend. And then it goes from being me helping a friend to me being a subcontractor, to all sorts of different other stories. So he was trying to hide all of the stuff he was doing because he set the business up to launder drug money.
Okay. What point did Workcover know that you were working for him and you were not a subcontractor?
Oh, God, no, that took years. That took years.
Right. And did they do anything? No. Okay.
They sent an investigator after him after many, many years. Like me and my lawyers used to turn up to the commission. He never turned up once. Like I must have.
I saw that.
Times in the commission, and he never turned up once. And then when it came down to the final judicial part of it, while I'm standing on the stand and talking to whoever's sitting in front of me, and these two idiots over here arguing between themselves, I was actually deemed a worker at that hearing.
Did they do anything about the fact that you were a worker and he was allowed to do all of this and you were put through hell? Did they do anything?
No,
Nothing.
no. It was hell. By the time like 5.5 months down the track, when I finally got out of hospital, they'd all screwed up because no one was paying for anything.
You walk now?
Yes.
And what's your health like?
Oh, ruined. Absolutely ruined. I had a stroke last year. It's just like
I know.
With a spinal injury, all right, I have to fill in this ridiculous, stupid medical clearance every year for Service New South Wales, and they're classifying, because I've got a spinal injury, I have a neurological condition, as though I'm mentally disturbed or something, like I've had a brain injury.
Yep.
But it's a spinal injury, not a brain injury.
Yep.
And I have to fill in this ridiculous, stupid medical to drive clearance bullshit every year.
Yeah.
I lost my shit with them completely. And because this is ridiculous. I've got a spinal injury. I don't have a brain injury. And I went into the Service New South Wales office and I went off my lolly. Absolutely, because of PTSD and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I lost my shit. Nutted off at them, standing there, and I had a stroke on the spot.
And so in Service New South Wales?
Yeah, correct. These assholes won't deal with the stroke. I'm having to pay the cost of the stroke. Every time I go to a doctor to see about the stroke, I have to pay for the cost. These, excuse my French, motherfuckers caused me to have this fucking stroke.
So you didn't know that at the time?
No, I did not.
Right. Okay. So at what point did Workcover accept your claim?
After we went to the commission on numerous occasions with my lawyer, and he never turned up, then they sent an investigator, private investigator, after him, which is a document they didn't want tabled in court. Under discovery, they disclosed it at the last minute, which flattened their case. And the investigation report goes into all of that stuff, that what he was trying to hide, who he was trying to lie to, and everything like that.
So fast forward, it was a Workcover and then the 2012 reforms. At what point were you assessed for permanent impairment?
That took so long, it wasn't funny. Because I hadn't reached MMI, I was left on disability support pension after I was deemed a worker by the commission. They wouldn't pay me my weekly because they said, "Oh, you hadn't reached MMI," which is maximum medical improvement.
So legally, somebody that is deemed an injured worker and is entitled to week leaves from the moment the injury is accepted, but you didn't get that.
No. Oh, no.
Over what period of time was this going on? From roughly when? What date? What year to when?
From 2008 to about 2015, 2014.
So had iCare formed or not yet?
Yes, I think they had at that point, because I had to go under uninsured liability because this guy didn't have insurance.
So that means iCare was managing their claim. Was there a scheme agent involved?
They gave me a case manager at first. I lost, because of the way they were mucking around with this MMI, I lost my shit with them completely. And it was around the time as the Link Cafe siege. And I sort of mentioned something around that. I told them that I'd make their office look like a picnic compared to the Link Cafe siege.
Oh, okay. And they deemed you threatening them, did they?
Big time. I ended up in my Housing Commission unit in Ermington having a siege outside my unit for 3 hours.
Okay, in view of what they said about you when they deemed you a threat, are you dangerous? Do you think you're a threat to other people?
No, I just don't want anything to do with other people.
Fair enough. So let's just talk about any rehabilitation, any return to work, any help. Did you get any?
Because of the spinal injury, I have issues with my bowel. I only started receiving proper bowel care from a proper specialist last year.
So if you could have gone back to work and do something, no matter what it was, would you have gone back to work?
Oh, look at me. I used to be a boilermaker that worked on construction sites. I miss the biggest thing I miss at work is hanging shit on the blokes.
Yeah.
You know, it's work's fun. But it used to be. You know, it's like working on a construction site. I used to find it enjoyable. You know, and it's only when this idiot, someone that didn't know what they were doing, operating in the industry. And this is the type of shit that happens.
So you've been traumatized over and over and over again, and now you're being victim blamed, which is quite obvious. What is the Injured Workers Network given to you?
It's given some form of hope, because I joined this. There was another group that actually got closed down on Facebook prior to all of this. It just links me in with other people that are going through exactly the same thing. It's not just me.
So you suddenly found out what happened to you is what happens to other people.
Yeah. And it is, this is a basic human rights are just being thrown out the window. Really, quite seriously.
So do you have any case manager now? You get paid a weekly wage, is that correct? The nominal?
The best thing that they did was take me to court and have an order put against me that I couldn't talk to them. That means they...
Sorry, I'll ask that again. the question was, do you have a case manager now?
Yes, but the best thing they ever did for me was take me to court and have a court order report against me so I can't talk to them. It's been the best thing ever because they've had to put this other person in. I have to deal with Workcover, I deal with this guy. And he works for himself. He doesn't work for iCare or anyone. He works independently. So
he's somebody that really distressed or high risk or whatever iCare regards them has to go through.
Yeah.
Is he trained in mental health? Do you know?
He's a psychologist. I've got my own psychologist, but he's got a psychology degree as well. And he's got a...
Is he helpful? Is he helpful?
Yes, because he gets things done when they need to be done. Like if something's not paid, I just go directly to him and go, look, what's going on here? Like I've had anaesthetists that have rung me up that haven't been paid.
All right, so let's just talk about as we're coming to an end, your life now. You live by yourself, you don't go out?
I go to physio. I go for a walk every morning with my assistance dog. And I go to medical appointments. Other than that, I go to Tai Chi on Monday morning and that's it. As for socializing, going out and drinking, no, absolutely not.
You lonely?
I'm not going to say lonely because I'm okay with living with myself. Do I want people around me? I'm too grumpy. I snap at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. And what, Grant, were you difficult before all this happened?
I wasn't this bad. I would communicate with people, I'd listen to people, but since of all of this accident, and I've had surgical procedures that I was lied to about. I've had stimulators put into my spine and told that they would work. I tried it and they worked for a little bit. What the surgeon didn't tell me was they eventually wear off, they don't work. So I had a surgical procedure done and then it had to be reversed in all the electronics because these devices are not MRI safe. And I've got to have MRIs. So I had to have all these devices pulled out so I could have an MRI done.
So let me just ask you a direct question. Do you feel experimented upon?
Oh, huge, and it's still happening. And
do you feel like a guinea pig?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, no doubt whatsoever.
So if you were to look down the camera, and this is your chance to tell the Premier of New South Wales what has been done to you and what he needs to do, what would you say?
It's simple. You created this problem. You're doing nothing to fix it. You're doing nothing to help us. You are making our lives worse. Euthanasia is now legal in New South Wales. So I volunteer myself. Let's go. You're not going to help me, so let's finish it. I'm not going to die of another stroke or end up in some mental hospital where you end up taking my house away from me. Kiss my ass.